Hi, I'm Jayamala. I want to tell you about posture. Today, let's focus on seated posture. So I'm going to be using this yoga bench here, but you can actually use any seat as long as it has a stiff seat so that you don't sink down. And you can touch the floor solidly. So let's begin. Okay, so we know that we're supposed to sit up, but at the end of a long day, we tend to just want to slouch some more, right? So why is it so hard to stay upright? Let's break that down anatomically. So when you look at someone from the right side, there's a slight S curve in their spine, right? There's the top of the S in the thoracic or chest area, and then there's the lower part of the S in the lumbar or waist area. When we allow our lower back to round, that actually puts our body into a C shape. And that puts a lot of stress on the lower back. So if you can straighten yourself up and use your body more evenly, that's actually the most efficient way to carry yourself. So seated posture actually starts lower than the bottom of the S in our sits bones. And we call them the sits bones because we're supposed to sit on them. But if we do this and tuck our pelvis, we're not really sitting on them. So stick your hands under your sits bones right now and feel that and how that feels when you round your pelvis like this. You're not really on them. So see if you can sit on your sits bones right now. Okay, so let's try something right now. Widen your stance and put your elbows on your knees. So this is kind of a thinker pose. So notice what your spine's doing, your lower back especially. On your way down, did it pop into a C? And once you're down here, are you sagging and oozing so that your lumbar curve is exaggerated? So neither of those extremes are very good for you. And what you want to do instead is engage the abs. So see if you can engage that in this position and see how that puts your lumbar curve in a more natural state. Coming back up to a straight seated position. So what keeps us here? When we have the pelvis in the right position, the thighs are actually closer to our torsos than if we round like this. There's a tendency to cheat by bringing the shoulders closer to the knees, but that doesn't do you any good. So what it takes is to use your hip flexors, and our main hip flexors are called the psoas major. That is P-S-O-A-S, psoas. So it runs from the middle of your back to the tops of the legs. They're weirdly long muscles that can be weak and stiff, are usually pretty weak and stiff. So you have to both strengthen them and stretch them out. So we're not going to go into detail about that right now. So just get yourself onto your sits bones where you can feel them. Okay, so you're sitting up on your sits bones with your lower torso close to your thighs. But there's that tendency to overarch your lumbar area and exaggerate that curve. So what we want to do is, just like in the thinker pose, engage the abs. And let's introduce a new term here, Uddiyana bandha. So that is the core lock. Bandha means body lock, and Uddiyana bandha is the core lock. So think of bringing your belly in and up, while keeping on top of your sits bones. See how that goes together. The thing about hip flexor and abs, using them together, is it's actually pretty tricky. As you work on your mind-body awareness, you might check that out for yourself. It's surprisingly tricky. So something that helps is another bandha, the Mula bandha or root lock. So this one comes from the pelvic floor. So think you really have to pee. Your bladder is getting really full, but you're not allowed to go to the bathroom. So you're trying to hold yourself in. You're trying to pull everything in, including the pelvic floor Ladies, this is the same as the Kegel muscles. So yeah, see if you can find that right now. Maybe together with Uddiyana bandha. And it's probably easier on exhale because, so inhale, we pull the diaphragm down, and to exhale, we just let it come back up. So it's easier to find that pelvic floor engagement when the diaphragm's also coming up. And another reason to do Mula bandha is it pulls the tailbone down and forward, so that anchors your spine from the base. Okay, let's put that all together now. So starting from your sits bones, make sure you're on top of them. This is nice and close. Let's start by exhaling. Inhale, allowing yourself to expand. Letting go of Mula bandha, don't worry about that right now. And at the top of the inhale, finding the core lock and Uddiyana bandha and engaging those as you exhale. Do that one more time. Inhale, expand, keeping the hips engaged. Finding the bandhas. Come back down. All right, so now you have a way of keeping out of that C curve. So every hour or so as you do your desk work during the day, take some time out, take a few breaths, and get some mind-body engagement and see how you feel.